Here's a quick snapshot of what the smart speaker market looked like at the beginning of the year. You can see Google and Amazon are making up the vast majority of the market, with most of that being Amazon. The rest of the other is like Siri, Microsoft Cortana. Siri kind of hardly matters because their APIs don't really allow for the creation of voice applications in the way that the others in the space think of them. So as a result, my desk skews towards Amazon. There is a Google Home there and a Google Home Mini and some other fun stuff. So I've spent the last couple years working on this plugin called VoiceWP, which allows any WordPress site to go and create its own Alexa skills. It serves as a starting point for all of the custom projects that we do, but out of the box it comes out with support for a few different basic skill types. So creating flash briefings, having your blog content read out, creating fact and quote skills, things like that. At the end of the day, it's kind of a PHP SDK for communicating back and forth with the Amazon APIs and your WordPress site. So a lot of people use it as a starting point for getting their feet wet, figuring out how they want to represent their brand on the platform in a new medium, and then kind of think of ideas for where they want to take it from there, how to create experiences catered toward their brand and experiences that are going to benefit their users. So a couple demos, real quick so you get a feel for it. These are sites that are running either on VIP or Pressable. This first one is for the Freer-Sackler Gallery, which is one of the Smithsonian's over in DC.
Alexa, open Freer-Sackler.
Welcome to the Freer-Sackler Alexa skill. We hope you're enjoying museums and the web. Ask us about our current exhibitions or events.
What are your hours?
We're open 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. every day except December 25th.
Where are you located?
The Freer-Sackler is located on the National Mall, the grassy area between the Capitol and the Washington Monument.
How much does it cost?
Admission is free.
What are the current exhibits?
First, Encountering the Buddha, Art and Practice Across Asia. Second, The Power to See Beauty. Third, A Perfect Harmony. Fourth, Feast Your Buddhism and the art it inspired helped shape the cultures of Asia. Today, its extraordinary art is a source of beauty and...
So you get the point there. With this, it's a little bit more than just a voice application. For screen devices, it's providing a complementary experience, and you can see that I tapped the screen there in order to make it take an action on there. I could also go and give it a voice command. So for devices that are voice only, so like the Echo, Echo Dot, things like that do not have a screen, it's providing the same experience that you would get with this. If you're using a device like that, then you get a little bit of additional complementary details. So images, when it's displaying a list of events, for example, it can go and show the dates, times, things like that, instead of flooding the user with a whole bunch of information that might be a little too much at once, as opposed to the user diving in and specifically asking for it. And Entertainment Weekly, which has a skill that is going to be releasing shortly for TV show recaps and recommendations. You can see the quality difference between here, a Red Roof Inn on the top one and Our Nice Place over here on the second.
Alexa, open Entertainment Weekly.
Welcome to EW, your destination for the best TV recaps and recommendations. Ask for help to hear sample commands.
What happened on the last episode of Game of Thrones?
Spoiler alert.
Game of Thrones finale recap, The Dragon and the Wolf. Wow. A Game of Thrones season characterized by a blazingly fast pace and staggering action sequences closed with an extra long episode that absolutely riveted by hitting the brakes.
Alexa,
So much.
what should I watch today?
May 16th.
EW recommends the series debut of Shonda Rhimes' Station 19. Jaina Lee Ortiz plays Andy Herrera, the lead firefighter of this Grey's Anatomy spinoff. Here's how she describes her typical day. I turned down a marriage proposal.
Alexa, stop.
Goodbye.
So over there we have some custom audio that's being used instead of just providing the native text-to-speech that Alexa does on her own. So with this skill, it's kind of layered on what comes out of the box with the plugin with that newsreader type functionality. We're utilizing post types that they have for their TV show recaps. So it's pulling into that existing content to go and surface that in the new medium. And then we have a custom type and custom interface for uploading and putting in the text for the TV show recommendations. So that goes and figures out dynamically what day of the week. So if I said, what should I watch today versus what should I watch this weekend or on the 16th, it'll go and figure that stuff out and then return the appropriate content there. So the gist of what's happening is when I go and I have my device, be it a dot, a show, whatever, I go, I talk to it, I say the wake word, it turns on. It shoots up whatever data I say to it over to the cloud. The cloud goes and magically figures out what the intent of what I said was, and then it's going to go and send that to my application. And the application can be either like an AWS Lambda function, so it's running on a serverless architecture, or it can be a web app. In these cases, and the plugin that showed off just a minute ago, this is running as a web application. It's taking advantage of your existing WordPress architecture and infrastructure in order to go and power these Alexa skills. So that's doing a couple nice things for you. One, it's eliminating a possible point of failure. So instead of having this like middleman server that then has to go and make a request to your website, you're cutting down on that network latency there. You're cutting down on having to do the certificate validation and things like that, and it gets to go directly to your site, pull the content from where it exists, and then serve it up. On platforms like VIP and whatnot, we have a great infrastructure and like external object cache and things like that we can go and use to go and cache this data so that we can serve it up even faster. For platforms like any of these voice platforms, it's really important that we're serving this content in like underneath a second so that there's no real delay to the user between the time that they ask something and they get it back. So in the first demo, when I showed off the Freer Sackler thing, that was running on a local instance on my box with a proxy going. So any delay there was with it going from the cloud to talk to my local box and then send it up. In a real life environment where it's running on something like VIP, like in the second use case there with Entertainment Weekly, that is grabbing it in most cases just from the external object cache or doing a pretty quick DB hit when it needs to. And for the most part, you can go and cache that data for a decently long time depending on what you're serving up. And then all the future users get to benefit from that. So why else would you want to use WordPress as your way of creating and serving Alexa skills? Your content's already in WordPress. Your teams already know how to use WP admin. It's easy to go manage, curate, and create the skills within that interface that they already understand. And from a technical perspective, you already get most of what you need out of the box. Your site probably has an SSL certificate. If it doesn't, it probably should. And we have this WP REST API, which is pretty awesome, and it creates endpoints. And those endpoints are how Amazon can go and hit your site, grab the data, and then get it formatted back in a way that works nicely and talks to Amazon in a nice way. So the gist of it, on the back end, you go and you create these endpoints. It has the callback function. That callback gets run. Here you can see I'm basically just using switch statements. I'm benefiting from some of that like flow-through logic. So if I asked for the latest technology posts, that's very similar to just asking for the latest posts. It just has the addition of that term thing. So I can go and let that term logic flow down into the normal latest post logic there and save a little bit of code there. So this just goes and delegates out. It is using the same REST endpoint for the entire skill. So every Alexa skill gets one single endpoint. And then once the data gets delivered there, then it figures out how to go and take whatever actions it needs to provide the proper response back to the user. What kind of things can you do with it other than what comes out of the box with like the newsreader, facts, quotes, briefings? If you have the paywall, subscription content, whatnot, you can use account linking to go and serve up that premium content to your users so they have another medium to access that thing that they're paying for already, and hopefully they're more likely to go and renew that subscription at the end. General content consumption, podcast delivery, trivia games, facts, quotes, choose your own adventures, recipes, events, event registration, things like that are all kind of lowish hanging fruit for utilizing your WordPress site to take advantage of that and bring that experience into a voice medium. Making money, something we all like to do. On May 3rd, Amazon announced a couple of new ways to make money in the platform. So one is in-skill purchases. So that's like digital stuff right there. You could have one-time purchases or subscriptions. So if you want to go and unlock articles or sections of the site for people that pay for it in that in-skill experience, you can do that now. Or if you have physical goods, say you have a WooCommerce integration or something else like that, you can go and use Amazon Pay for Alexa, also known as Pay with Amazon, which is the other PWA nowadays. Ads, the good old-fashioned standby. If you're using a flash briefing or you have a long-form audio type thing, like a podcast and whatnot, you can go and serve ads within that. And then if your skill is performing well, Amazon will pay you money, though they don't tell you how much until you get the check. But a nice little thing, bonus. And with our roadmap, we're looking at kicking off V2 in like the next week or so. You saw some display support stuff occurring for the Echo Show and whatnot in that Fierce Ackler demo. So that's going to be rolling out for the Echo Show, Echo Spot. It'll have different templates for lists, single post, a bunch of different things like that, galleries, so you can go and scroll around. Podcast type skills, so if you have one or more podcasts and you want to have those series be available in your Alexa skill experience, that'll be coming in. Integration with Amazon Poly, so that's a plugin that'll go and take your text content and turn it into MP3s. So if you have a bunch of text content but don't have the ability to turn that into, like have someone record it and have an actual podcast, using that you can go and take advantage of having that podcast skill type there and be able to fast forward next, previous episode, things like that. And then after that, we're doing the in-skill purchasing stuff that I just talked about, API support, so you don't have to go and do anything in the Amazon Developer Console. You just push a button and it'll shoot it up there. German and Japanese support and some other fun stuff like that. Thank you.
Awesome, great.